But I'm here today to talk to you about the top 3 things I think you can do to help yourself get a Splunk gig. So as we talk about them, I'll put them in chat real quick. The very first thing is to make a resume that is devoted to Splunk or specific to Splunk. Okay. So what I'm talking about here is you want to put all your Splunk certificates on there, highlight them. You want to mention Splunk positions you've had, jobs you've done with Splunk, um, any sort of Splunk experience, you just highlight it. You may even underline it. And then you want to name the resume, Michael Bentley Splunk resume 2023, something like that, to where you actually get the word Splunk in the resume title itself. And then on the resume, you're just highlighting everything you've done related to Splunk, all the interest you have related to Splunk, how you've helped others using Splunk, etc. Or maybe you don't have that experience yet, right? But you certainly have taken some courses online. You'll call those out. Any sort of things that you've done in the community, etc. You'll call those out in your resume as well. And what that does is the more keywords you have in your resume, the more the recruiters will find you once you get it in all their databases. So you're going to go spread your resume everywhere you go, right? And that'll maybe on dice.com, it may be on LinkedIn, but eventually your resume will end up in hundreds of databases that recruiters are using. And they're just searching for the keyword Splunk, right? So the more keywords you have in your resume related to Splunk, the more likely are you to show up in one of those random searches, and then they'll reach out to you, get you a good job, right? That's one way I've been able. Eventually, to your resume will end up just by plastering my resume everywhere, and then just on occasion I'll get a text message from somebody I haven't talked to in 10 years. Maybe we've never even met, and they'll say, "Hey, I've got your resume in front of me. I see you're the Splunk guy. Let me call you. Let's get an appointment on the calendar. I'd like to get you interviewing with my customer." And that just leads to more and more jobs. So as time goes on, I get more and more calls because I'm in more and more databases with the word Splunk, etc. So again, the 2 tips there is put Splunk in the name of your resume, and then highlight Splunk everywhere you mention it in your resume. Maybe you make it bold or you underline it. But you want to call the recruiter's attention to everything you've done in Splunk. Okay, so hopefully you're doing that. That's a pretty easy one. Number 2 is going to be make sure your LinkedIn profile sings your praises while you sleep. Okay, so what we're talking about here is the banner at the top of your profile should have something related to big data, Splunk especially. Maybe you just put your Splunk certificates up there, make a picture of each of your certs, combine them into one picture, make that the banner. If you look at my LinkedIn profile, I have a image from Splunk.conf where they took pictures of me and Brittany, and we're kind of front and center, and we were used as the backdrop at Splunk.conf. So I took that photo, which lends credibility to me. It shows you that I was at conf, and they used my image in the background, for everybody to see. So I use that as my banner on LinkedIn. But for my profile picture, I've got a picture of me with my Splunk Trust hat. I've got the tie that says Splunk on it, and I'm holding it out, right? And so just those 2 things alone, the image at the top, the banner, and my profile image, really succinctly tell anybody who's looking at my profile what I do, and that I'm focused on Splunk. So if you have multiple proficiencies, maybe you just need a LinkedIn profile for Splunk and the other one for IBM or whatever else you do. But I highly recommend customizing your Splunk or your LinkedIn profile. Okay, so these are the things I do, like related to, thanks, Sar. Good to see you. All right, so these are 3 things: the banner, the profile picture, and then also I want you to put your Splunk certificates with the links to Credly on there. Don't just say you're Splunk certified. Actually put the link to the certification in your profile so that anybody can find it. And the idea is while you're sleeping, your LinkedIn profile is going to be making the sales for you, right? It's going to be being picked up by recruiters, other people that are looking for Splunkers, right? The first thing I do when I'm looking for a Splunk architect for one of my positions, I go to LinkedIn, I type in Splunk Architect, and that finds me everybody that mentions the word Splunk and Architect on their profile, right? And then when I find the profiles, I'm going through the top 10, top 20. When I'm seeing people that have Splunk all over their profile, it's in their picture, they're wearing the shirt, their baby's wearing the onesie, the dog's got the scarf on there, whatever, right? I know that they're really interested in what we're doing, and those people make great candidates. So if you're really interested in Splunk, you're showing it on your profile, right? And everybody knows, hey, that person is going to be great for this job because they're really committed to this Splunk thing. Okay. All right. So I mentioned the banner, the picture, the certs, and beyond that, if you can get what I will call D here, if you can get people to do reviews for you or recommendations. Okay, these are key. And you want to ask them to mention your Splunk experience in there. So if they can give you a recommendation and say you were part of a Splunk project and you helped to create some dashboards that were really awesome, something like that, you want to get them to put that in the recommendation for you. And don't be afraid to ask for these recommendations. You can ask me for recommendations. You can ask your coworkers for recommendations. There's plenty of people that will spend time writing a recommendation on why they think you would be good for a Splunk role or any other role for that matter, right? Just the worst we can say is no if you ask us. And LinkedIn makes it actually really easy for us to give a recommendation. So that's my final thing for your LinkedIn profile. All right, so there were three things. We're up on the last one right now, and this is contributing to the Splunk community. Okay. Now, as you contribute to the community, people are going to recognize you. They're going to, begin to recognize your name. They're going to say things like, "Oh, I know Michael Bentley. He built the Chat GPT app for Splunk," or, "Oh, I know Sar Levy. He helped with this project we had over here," right? And they start really helping drive people to you when they know that you're looking for work, right? So if I need a job, all I have to do is reach out to the community and say, "Hey, you know what? I'm on hard luck. Toss me a bone, send me a gig," right? And 9 times out of 10, the response is overwhelming. It's, "Hey, Michael, I've been using your app forever, and you've saved me a ton of times by reading your answers on community.splunk.com, etc. And I really want to help you. So I know somebody who's looking for someone that does what you do. Can you, would you like to meet them?" Right? And they give me the warm introduction. And from there, I can actually maybe turn that into a gig. So the two things I'm going to harp on here are building an app and contributing to community.splunk.com. Okay, I can't tell you how many people have said, "Oh, I know you. I read your answer on community.splunk.com." All right, and forever I was, maybe top 50 contributors to Splunk, to the community. It was also known as answers.splunk.com if you know it by the former name. Both will get you there. But by reaching out and helping people all hours of the day, just when I was bored, I'd be on my phone, I'd put in the solution, send it. I did this to help the community, but I also did it to learn Splunk because I would think I know the answer, and then that would turn out not to be the answer because the user had some edge problem or use case. And so they would tell me, "Well, that doesn't work, but this works." And then somebody who did know, who's been there and done that before, would chime in and say, "This is the actual solution." They may say, "Michael, you were on the right track," or, "Hey, that's going to not work in this case." Whatever it was, I learned through the experience of helping others. And as a community, we came together and solved the problem. And as a community, we developed that muscle memory that, we're going to always remember, "Hey, there was that one time when I wanted to roll buckets every day, and Michael told me put, frozen time period and seconds at this, and Greg Woodcock came in and said, 'No, don't do that. That's going to cause problems.' And he was right, and we all learned, right?" But the fact is, they remember you, and they remember that you were there. They don't remember whether if you made the mistake or not, right? They just know you were there to help, and that's really big. So the final thing I have in relation to contributing to the community, and thanks for your comment there, Christian, is going to be join a user group and attend the user group. Now, the Splunk user groups are not in every city, so if there isn't a user group in your city, create one, right? You can become a user group leader, and Splunk will actually compensate you for the drinks, the pizza, whatever, right? And the hardest part is finding a place to have it. And so you find a location that can, seat 20 people. You do a user group. 15 people show up. Sometimes more people show up. It's standing room only. That's a good problem to have, right? But I would say the biggest issue in leading a user group is probably finding the places to have them. But we'll do it at a Burger King, right? All we want to do is get together and talk about our problems with Splunk and how we solve those problems. But being a member of the user group alone is enough to get you that next connection that you need. You're going to meet somebody who is a manager somewhere who occasionally needs a contractor, or they might be looking for a full-time employee. Whatever you do, right, you need to be getting yourself in front of these people. And, other than what I've already mentioned, the best way to do that is to go to the community events, go to the user groups, go to the Splunk Lives, go to the conference if you can make it, right? And contribute. As you contribute, you're going to meet more and more people. You're going to make lifelong friends, people that'll support you, come to your LinkedIn lives, right? And deal with all the technical difficulties just to hear what you have to say, right? And it's easy steps. You just got to sell it. You got to make your resume specific to it. You got to do the LinkedIn, and you got to come and contribute to the community. Just by doing those three things, you're going to increase your odds of being selected for the job when you're competing against 200 other people that haven't done that, right? So, hey, it was a pleasure seeing you all today. With that, I'm going to stop the stream. Just leave me questions in the comments if you have any, or if you don't want to share it with the rest of the world, you can private message me, and I'll be happy to help you or chat with you about whatever you want to talk about. So